I still remember the sting on my face when his secretary slapped me twice in front of everyone. My husband did not defend me. Instead, he looked me in the eyes and said if I touched her it was over. In that moment, something inside me broke. But I stayed silent because I had been watching them for weeks. The late night calls, the secret smiles, the lies that no longer added up. That day I was not just a wife. I was someone waiting for the truth to come to light. So I slowly turned toward the man seated at the head of the table and whispered the word that changed everything. Dad. The room shifted instantly. What no one knew was that this was never just about betrayal. This was about revenge, because I had already found their secret marriage papers hidden in his office. And today was the day I would destroy them both in front of the only man they feared. I walked into that office pretending I was still the same loyal wife who trusted her husband blindly. But inside everything had changed. I had seen things no wife should ever see. Messages that disappeared quickly, senseless nighttime excuses, and the way his secretary looked at him like he belonged to her. I said nothing because I needed the truth to surface at the right moment. That day when she slapped me in front of everyone I felt humiliated. But I did not react because I knew anger would ruin my plan. My husband's cold warning about divorce only confirmed what I already feared. He had chosen her over me. What they did not know was that I had already discovered the hidden documents proving their secret marriage. While I stood there in silence, I realized this was no longer just betrayal. This was war, and I was ready to expose everything in front of the one person who could bring him to justice. I lifted my eyes toward him, the most powerful man in the room, the one person they never expected me to call. With a firm voice I said, Dad. The word echoed like a shockwave. Every face around me froze. My husband's expression collapsed from confidence to fear. His secretary stepped back as if the ground had opened beneath her feet. My father, Don Javier Castillo, rose slowly from his chair. His calm presence turned terrifying as he looked straight at them and asked in a low voice who dared to touch his daughter. I did not speak immediately. I wanted him to feel the weight of their actions. I wanted every second to stretch until their lies suffocated them. My husband tried to recover. He claimed it was just a misunderstanding. But I stepped forward and placed the file on the table. The same file I had found hidden in his drawer. The proof of his betrayal. The secret marriage certificate with both their signatures. Dated months earlier while I still lived in the same house believing we were building a future together. The room filled with whispers as my father opened the file and read every line carefully. His silence was more dangerous than any anger. My husband's voice began to tremble as he tried to explain. He said it was a mistake. That he was confused. That he never meant for it to go this far. I interrupted him. I had heard enough lies for a lifetime. I told them how I had watched everything in silence. How I had followed the patterns. How every late meeting and hidden call brought me closer to the truth. I chose not to confront him because I wanted justice. Not excuses. The secretary finally spoke, trying to defend herself. She said she loved him and that he had promised to leave me. It was then I realized this was not just betrayal. It was a carefully planned deception. They had decided my place in their lives without ever giving me the dignity of the truth. My father closed the file slowly and looked at my husband with a disappointment so deep it weighed heavier than rage. He reminded him that respect is not given with power but earned with honesty. In that moment my husband lost more than his marriage. He lost his position, his pride, and every ounce of trust he had built. But the twist they never saw coming was that I was not there to beg for justice. I had already taken control. I revealed that I had legally secured my rights, protected every asset in my name, and reported the fraudulent marriage through the proper channels. The secretary's confidence shattered when she realized her position was never safe. My husband stood there speechless, finally understanding that the woman he underestimated had outmaneuvered him at every step. I felt no joy in that moment, only a quiet strength. Because revenge was never about hurting them, it was about reclaiming myself. When I turned to leave, I knew this was not the end of my story. It was the beginning of a life where I would never again allow betrayal to define my worth. As I walked out of that office, I could feel their eyes on my back. But for the first time, I was not leaving in pain. I was leaving with control. The silence in the hallway felt heavier than the chaos I had left behind. Yet my heart was at peace because everything had unfolded exactly as I planned. What no one knew was that this was only the beginning of the truth I had uncovered. The secret marriage was not their only lie. It was merely the surface of something much darker. I got into my car and closed my eyes for a moment, remembering the night I first found the hidden folder on his laptop. A folder filled not only with messages between them but also with transactions. Large transfers to accounts I did not recognize. Names linked to people with power and influence. At first I thought it was just business. But the deeper I looked, the clearer it became that my husband Sebastián was involved in something illegal. His secretary Lucía was not just a partner in the affair. She was deeply involved in whatever scheme they were planning. I realized exposing their affair was not enough. The real danger was what they were hiding behind it. So instead of confronting him immediately, I began collecting evidence. Every document, every email, every transaction record. That day finally arrived, but there was still one final move. A truth even my father did not know. I drove straight to a quiet office where someone was waiting for me. The investigator looked at me seriously and asked if I was ready to go all the way. I nodded without hesitation. I handed over the final set of documents, including evidence of their secret accounts and illegal dealings. In a matter of hours, everything began moving faster than I expected. Investigations started. Authorities began tracing the transactions. The story that began as a personal betrayal turned into something much larger. That night my phone would not stop ringing. News of corruption, fraud, and hidden alliances linked to my husband's name began to spread. I sat in silence watching it all unfold, not with satisfaction but with clarity. The man I once trusted had betrayed me not only as a husband but as a human being. Then came the final twist. A message from an unknown number. When I opened it, my breath caught. It said, "You were never supposed to find out about us." Attached was a photo that revealed something I had never imagined. My husband Sebastián was not the mastermind. He was only a piece in a much bigger game. The person really controlling everything was someone much closer to me than I had ever suspected. Someone whose betrayal would hurt even more. I recognized the location immediately. It was my father Don Javier Castillo's private study. Standing next to my husband in that photo was my cousin Camila. The girl who grew up with me like a sister. The only person who knew every detail of my life. Everything began to connect in a way that crushed my chest. This was never just about an unfaithful spouse or a secret marriage. It was a carefully planned betrayal built over time using my own trust against me. I reviewed every memory, every time she defended him, every moment she convinced me I was overthinking, every lie that slowly pushed me into silence. She was not protecting me. She was protecting them. My breathing became unsteady, but I forced myself to stay calm. I opened my laptop and went back through the files. Searching deeper, there was her name hidden behind coded entries, linked to the same accounts and illegal money movements. The betrayal hurt more than anything I had ever felt, but with the pain came clarity. I finally saw the full picture. My husband never acted alone. The secretary was never the real threat. They were all connected under one plan, and I had been kept in the dark. I called my father, but this time I did not reveal everything. I only said there was more to discover and asked him to trust me a little longer. Then I organized another meeting with the investigator and shared the new evidence. We decided to act carefully. Let them believe I had played my last card while I prepared the final strike. Days passed with rising silent tension. My husband tried to contact me, but I ignored every call. Then the moment I had been waiting for arrived. An official investigation was announced targeting the financial network connected to him and his associates, including my cousin Camila. The news spread quickly and panic set in. I watched from a distance as everything they built began to crumble. But the final twist came when my father called me back to his office. He showed me a document that changed everything once more. My cousin had not started this plan. She had been pulled in under pressure. The real mastermind behind the entire operation was someone even closer. It was my own uncle, the man who had always guided our family, the one we trusted without question. I chose justice over blood. I handed over every piece of evidence without hesitation and watched as the truth finally came to light. My husband Sebastián lost everything. His lies were exposed. His power vanished. My cousin Camila collapsed under the weight of her choices. My uncle faced the consequences he thought he could escape. It was not easy to watch my family fall apart, but I refused to protect injustice. I walked away not as a victim but as someone who faced the truth and survived it. At the end, I did not just lose people. I found my strength. Because sometimes justice hurts, but silence destroys even more. Thank you for listening to today's story. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. See you in the next story.